All right, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're exploring the incredible world of medical physics. We're going to break down a technology that is grounded entirely in the elegant, almost hidden laws of sound. I'm super excited to guide you through this because we're about to unlock the mechanics of one of the most vital diagnostic tools in modern medicine. Let's get into it. So think about this central mystery for a second. How exactly do we peer through layers of skin, fat, muscle, and bone, getting a real-time, moving picture of what's happening inside the human body, completely non-invasively? No way, right? But this invisible trick, literally seeing with sound, is exactly how we safely monitor the delicate development of a fetus or rapidly detect something as serious as a deep vein thrombosis without a single drop of radiation. To understand how we pull this off, we actually have to look back at a fundamental discovery of physics. Section 1. The magic of piezoelectricity. Okay, let's dive into this. Our story actually rewinds all the way back to the year 1880 with two brilliant brothers, Pierre and Jacques Curie. While experimenting with natural quartz, they stumbled onto a discovery that would eventually make this entire medical technology possible. It's basically a bridge between mechanical force and electricity. We call it the piezoelectric effect, and it is the secret engine of the ultrasound machine. Inside that handheld wand, the transducer, there are these specialized ceramic crystals. When the machine zaps an electrical charge into these crystals, they vibrate intensely. This vibration is the reverse piezoelectric effect in action, and it emits the absolute hero of this explainer, a pulse of sound that dives directly into the body. And here's the cool part. When those sound waves bounce back and hit the crystals again, the mechanical pressure generates an electrical signal that the computer can actually read. Now, you might be wondering about the sound itself. We aren't just sending a gentle hum into the tissue. We are dealing with mind-blowing frequencies. To put this into perspective, normal human hearing caps out at an absolute maximum of 20,000 hertz. The sound waves we're generating here, they operate anywhere from 1 to 18 million hertz. 18 megahertz. It's completely silent to us, but this ultra-high frequency is exactly what lets us create such insanely detailed, high-resolution maps of our internal anatomy. All right, moving on to Section 2, the pulse echo principle. So we know how we make the sound, but how does a silent sound wave actually become an image? Well, to figure that out, we rely on the core narrative arc of our sound wave's journey. If you've ever thought about how a bat navigates a pitch-black cave using echolocation, or maybe how a submarine pings a sonar signal to find the ocean floor, you basically already understand this concept. Let's walk through this rapid four-step micro-adventure. First, the transducer emits our high-frequency sound pulse. Second, that sound wave travels through the body until it hits a boundary between two different types of tissue, like, say, where a muscle meets a layer of fat. Third, a portion of that sound wave reflects off the boundary and echoes right back. And finally, the computer steps in to calculate the exact distance. What's so brilliant about the handheld transducer is that it acts as both the sender of the pulse and the receiver of the echo, just rapidly switching back and forth between listening and speaking. Which brings us to acoustic impedance. This is basically a tissue's property that resists the propagation of sound waves. Essentially, the ultrasound machine builds its entire image based on how different tissues reflect sound depending on their density. When a sound wave hits a boundary between two tissues with vastly different acoustic impedances, a much stronger echo is reflected back to the probe. And this brilliantly illustrates how we get that contrast. When our sound wave hits highly dense tissues with very high impedance, like bone, almost all of the sound energy is reflected back. The machine registers this massive echo and slaps it on the screen as a bright white or hyper-echoic signal. On the flip side, softer tissues with lower impedance differences let more sound just pass right through, creating weaker echoes that show up as darker, hypoechoic shades of gray. So the varying shades of gray you see on an ultrasound, they're literally a map of tissue densities. But to draw that map perfectly, the computer needs to know exactly how deep every single echo is coming from. And it does this by relying on a surprising anchor fact, 1,540 meters per second. The machine calculates depth by assuming that sound travels through all human soft tissue at this constant, blistering speed. By timing exactly how long it takes for the echo to return and knowing the speed it traveled, the computer plots the exact depth of the tissue boundary. Just like that. Section 3, frequency versus depth. Up until now, it sounds like a perfect system, right? But in physics, there are always trade-offs. The engineers who design these machines and the medical pros who use them have to constantly balance two competing desires: seeing deep into the body and seeing things clearly. High-frequency sound waves, the ones emitted by flat linear probes, produce incredibly detailed high-resolution images. However, they get absorbed fast and can only penetrate shallowly, which is perfect for looking at superficial structures like tendons or blood vessels right near the skin. On the other hand, if you need to look deep into the abdomen to check a liver or a kidney, you're going to use a lower frequency convex probe. The lower frequency waves travel way deeper, but the trade-off is a lower image resolution. You swap crisp detail for deep penetration. It's a classic balancing act. And resolution itself, that's a fascinating engineering challenge. The machine has to distinguish structures in two different directions. Axial resolution is the ability to tell apart two things positioned one right behind the other. To get this clear, the machine needs a really short burst of sound, a short spatial pulse length. Lateral resolution, on the other hand, is telling apart two structures sitting side by side. For this, the machine focuses the sound into a very narrow beam width. Balancing these factors is exactly what gives us a crisp, readable image rather than just a blurry mess. Moving into Section 4, Mapping the Flow. Okay, we're shifting gears from taking still pictures of static anatomy to measuring actual moving fluids. And to do this, we're going to rely on a principle of physics discovered way back in the 19th century. You've definitely experienced the Doppler effect in real life. It's exactly why a police siren sounds higher pitched as it speeds toward you, and then lower pitched as it drives away. Well, in an ultrasound, as our sound waves bounce off moving red blood cells, their pitch or frequency changes. If the blood is moving toward the probe, the frequency bumps up. If it's moving away, it drops. The computer detects these microscopic pitch shifts and instantly calculates the speed and direction of the blood flow. Now, what's really interesting here is how we visualize that data. We have a few really powerful options. Color Doppler overlays colors, usually red and blue, right onto the image to instantly show you which way the blood is moving. Spectral Doppler gives doctors a highly detailed graph over time to pinpoint exact velocities, which is absolutely crucial for checking narrowed arteries or heart valves. And Power Doppler, it completely ignores direction to just focus on raw sensitivity, detecting the presence of incredibly slow, faint blood flow hidden deep inside organs. So why does mapping this flow matter to us? Because this specific physics application is a daily lifesaver in clinical diagnoses. Doctors use Doppler ultrasound to quickly spot dangerous blood clots blocking a vein. They use it to ensure a newly transplanted kidney is actually getting a healthy supply of blood. They can carefully monitor the umbilical cord to ensure a developing fetus is thriving. They can even track down the hidden causes of high blood pressure by looking at the specific flow in the kidneys. It's an incredibly powerful diagnostic tool. Finally, Section 5, Entering the Fourth Dimension. We've seen how ultrasound started as a way to send a single pulse into tissue, but the computing power behind this tech has compounded exponentially over the last few decades, completely transforming how we interact with these echoes. We started with 2D, which gives us traditional, flat, cross-sectional slices, kind of like looking at a single slice of bread. Then engineers figured out how to sweep the sound beam back and forth, allowing the computer to stitch together countless slices into a lifelike 3D volume image, like seeing the whole loaf. And 4D? I know, it sounds like science fiction, but it's really just a 3D volume scan with the added element of time, updating so fast that you see the 3D structure moving live in front of you. This 4D real-time dynamic view changes everything. It literally turns an ultrasound machine from a passive diagnostic tool into an active procedural guide. A surgeon can use a 4D ultrasound as a live, highly detailed map, allowing them to perfectly guide a needle during a biopsy or precisely navigate during a complex, minimally invasive procedure, completely avoiding critical vessels. So, the crucial point is this. By harnessing the simple properties of vibrating crystals, echoes, and fluid dynamics, we've created a profoundly safe, incredibly effective window into the human body. Because it uses mechanical sound waves rather than ionizing radiation like X-rays or CT scans, it carries zero radiation risk. It truly is a cornerstone of safe medical care. Which leaves us with a truly exciting thought to end on. As computing power continues to explode and our transducer arrays become microscopic, we're pushing the boundaries of resolution towards cellular-level imaging. As we get better and better at listening to these tiny echoes, what unseen mysteries of the human body will we uncover next? Thank you so much for joining me on this Explain.